As the cliche goes, April showers bring May flowers. But usually what comes after is the heat and dryness of summer. Hello again, SA here. And before the hot weather of the holiday shows up, you should indulge in my new short story, The White Cat, a free exclusive on Substack. The links are down below in description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. While checking out my oddball thriller, remember that my Glitch series is still available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The links are down below in the description. While you'll find my peculiar story about a white pussy entertaining, that doesn't mean I'm out of ideas. I still have more stories coming down the pike, so as long as I don't run into any mishaps, you'll see those stories as well. Now let's get back to the video. Hello again. SA here. In the Bible, there's a line that says that it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, of course, some of you say, yeah, so, well, what most people don't understand is what Jesus was trying to say. If I remember correctly, it was Jesus who said it. What he was trying to say is that rich people may have a hard time humbling themselves and may be influenced by dishonesty, and that no one can get into heaven by being good enough. And I would think, yeah. Because the funny thing about rich people is that humble tends not to be on the list. Oh, once in a while you probably run into someone who will do good deeds. I mean, for example, Ted Kennedy. Yeah, he used to teach disaffected children how to read better on his spare time. No one never knew about it after his death, but yeah, he'd do things like that. And Jimmy Carter, who was a peanut farmer before he became governor of Georgia, he used to assist building houses for the poor. And he didn't speak about it much either. And I remember back when I was a kid, my mother told me that old John D., Rockefeller, he had a habit of going out on the city street and handing out dimes to people. And you say, dimes? Really? Yeah, he used to do that. Now, of course, you say a dime, that doesn't sound very charitable. Yeah, but you gotta remember, this was way back during the Gilded Age, late 19th century. And back then, you could buy a lot with a dime. Just saying. But in the here and now, rarely do you see wealthy people being humble, being grateful for what they have, and showing humility. You just don't see it. Indeed, in the here and now, in the 2020s in America, most wealthy people, super wealthy people, or as old Bernie Sanders would say, the millionaires and the billionaires. Yeah. Humble, it doesn't appear to be part of their lexicon. No, they usually, once they get to a certain point, they say, I got mine. And that's it. Now, of course, some of them might be charitable, but usually it's not out of the goodness of their heart. Usually it's probably got some game going, you know, like some tax write-off, something like that. And then, of course, there are people like Oprah Winfrey. Now, of course, anyone who's watched daytime TV knows who Oprah is. I don't have to get in the nuts and bolts of that. But Oprah Winfrey, she's been very blessed. She's been very fortunate. Indeed, for a woman, a black woman, in America of the 20th century, she's gone above and beyond most people of her generation. Indeed, most people in the 20th century. Indeed, more than a few smart people said that she's not even what they call part of the 1%. She's part of the 1/10 of 1%. That's how fortunate she is. And yet, recently, she gave a speech in Chicago, and you have to hear it to believe it. Now, that crazy zany guy, Paul Joseph Watson, he's got the receipts on this speech, and he'll clue you in on what Oprah said. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
I've seen racism and sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving end of it.
What?
Racism and sexism and income inequality. I've been on the receiving end of it.
You're literally a black female with a net worth of $3 billion. And you think you've suffered income equality discrimination based on sexism and racism?
I've been on the receiving end of it.
Oh, poor thing. She's so oppressed. She owns a 23,000 square foot, $100 million neo-Georgian mansion in California with 70 acres, 14 bathrooms and 2 home theatres, private pool, wine cellar and tennis courts. But she's so oppressed.
Racism.
Another 8,700 square foot home in Colorado. So oppressed.
Sexism.
Another 163 acre estate in Hawaii. So oppressed.
Income inequality.
Another 7,300 square foot residence in Washington. 2 more estates in Montecito, making her property portfolio alone worth more than $500 million. So oppressed.
I've been on the receiving end of it.
She was already earning $30 million a year in her 30s. And by the time her TV show ended in 2011, she was making $315 million a year. That's $10 a second, or $864,000 every single day. So oppressed.
Racism.
She wears jeans that cost nearly $3,000 a pair. She vacations on one of the largest luxury private sailing yachts in the world. Charges around $2.5 million just to give a speech. And still somehow pretends to be resentful about how hard done by she's been.
I've been on the receiving end of it.
If Oprah's success was impacted by income inequality discrimination based on sexism and racism, I'd like to see what her net worth would be if it hadn't. She'd be richer than Elon Musk. She's been in the top 0.1% nearly her entire adult life as a female black woman, and she's still got the nerve to tell you sexism and racism held her back.
Racism and sexism.
Of course Oprah had to mention the racism and misogyny she's faced. From a country that made her world famous and a mega billionaire and shown her enormous love and adoration, legions of devoted middle-class women made Oprah one of the richest people in the country, maybe richest black female in history. And yet it wasn't enough. They were all racist anyway.
Kamala Harris!
The media responded to Oprah's speech with their usual flair for impartiality by calling it no nonsense, despite it being literally the epitome of nonsense.
Let us choose common sense over nonsense.
Oh yes, good old common sense. From the party of men can get pregnant, toddlers should be able to choose their own gender, and 5-year-old children should be given sex education in kindergarten. Just good old down-home common sense.
Just plain common sense.
Oprah also took time out to defend a crucial component of the Democrats' key core voting base. Childless cat ladies, but it didn't quite go as planned.
We just try to do the best we can to save them. And if the place happens to belong to a childless cat lady,
awkward. The DNC also continued to subject us to the absurd fallacy that the Democrats are the party of the people.
Challenge the people at the top and empower the people at the bottom.
They're really going to hold the corporate elite to account, while literally being bankrolled by them as their overlords watched down from above at this very conference.
A big theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging, and they're going to go after corporations, whether it's in taxes, largesse, loopholes. Let me reveal a reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay? Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those sweets start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes? Because that's the game. You pay to play. Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate. They are literally looking down on the faithful and being told, yeah, we're going to break down on them. We're going to make them pay their share.
Meanwhile, Biden's Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, also completely humiliated herself after the Bureau of Labor Statistics announced that 818,000 jobs supposedly created by the Biden-Harris White House turned out to not actually exist.
It comes in at 818,000.
Raimondo claimed it was all fake news invented by Donald Trump.
When you hear that, do you potentially think that this new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No, when I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
Right, so you're the head of a body that serves as the principal advisor to the President of the United States on all matters related to commerce. And you've never heard of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? A government department that's been in existence for 140 years.
I'm not familiar with that.
All this utter drivel, and cackling Kamala hasn't even given a speech yet.
Like, everybody needs to be woke.
Okay, you saw that. Now, right now, watching this video on your phone or whatever, you're probably wondering, what the hell is she talking about? Oppressed? Really? You, Oprah Winfrey? Yeah, I will concede she did come from a poor background. So what? A lot of people did. But to sit there and in a public venue and whine and complain loudly that you're being oppressed? Really? Dude, man, you better check yourself, as you say in my neighborhood back in the 20th century. Because she is probably the least oppressed person on the planet right now. This woman has more options than most people on this planet. She can go anywhere she wants. She can do whatever she wants. Hell, she can buy almost anything she wants. Except maybe a first-class ticket to the kingdom of heaven. She probably can't buy herself that. And yet, it makes you wonder why she makes such a damn speech as that. I mean, really. And the only thing I can think of is she's basically got on the identity politics train, the oppression Olympics train. Problem is, anyone whose brains work know that the oppression Olympics is a joke. It's ridiculous. It's silly. I mean, the oppression Olympics says that skin tone, melanin, is all that counts, and that's not true. That hasn't been true for a very long time. Indeed, if you go back, like, say, to the 19th century, yeah, you could say that, but it was only in America. Once you get outside America, it just wasn't that way. Indeed, back in the 19th century, if you went outside America, it was basically cultural and tribal. Indeed, anyone who studied what was going on in places like, say, the Middle East and Africa and East Asia and, of course, in Europe, you saw that oppression was usually cultural based. I mean, in Europe, for example, people who were gypsies, what they call Roma now, oh, they were oppressed a lot. But not because of skin tone, because of culture. And the Jewish community, oh my God, were they oppressed up the wazoo. No joke. Where do you think the phrase Jewish ghettos came from? And of course in Africa, woo-wee, tribal hatred of the first order, even though everyone in there was the same color. And then of course the Middle East is basically sectarian. In other words, if you're a Sunni or a Shiite or a Druze, man, talk about getting into a Donnybrook real quick. And in East Asia, same thing. You have basically cultural strife between the Chinese, Koreans, and Japanese, for example. And of course, you say all those people are East Asian. Yeah, they all are. And the funny thing about those people is that they can tell each other apart by looking at each other. And you say, wait, what? Yeah, true. I've seen it. And I'm thinking, dude, you're all a bunch of slitty-eyed folks, as Prince Philip used to say. And believe me, if you ask any American if you took a Korean, a Japanese, and a Chinese person and lined them up and asked them American, okay, who is who, they couldn't tell you. But guess what? Those people, they can tell each other apart just by looking. And you say, wow, yeah, wow. But back here in the good old US of A, yeah. Back in the 19th century, in early 20th century, yeah. We did have oppression based on skin color, but guess what? Those days are long past. And they've been long past for a long time. And yet, Oprah, who I have to admit, she's old enough to probably remember the waning days of Jim Crow. She should know better. She should know that thanks to God's good grace, or should say the good graces of King Features Association, which I'm not going to get into, she became a TV talk show host, and a successful one. I mean, no one had to drag her across the finish line using DEI garbage. No one gave her a leg up because they felt sorry for her and said, yeah, we should put this black woman on TV because of Oppression Olympics. No. She got on TV because she earned her way. Because I remember reading her history. She started out working in the TV market back down the Deep South. And she eventually made her way up to WGN in Chicago. And then the people at King Features basically they were looking to start a local TV talk show, and they said, yeah, this woman, she's got a bright, sunny personality. Let's stick her on the TV and let her do a daytime show. And you know what? Hey, she hit it out of the ballpark. She was successful. Therefore, after all these decades, for her to come up there and sit there and say, oh, I'm oppressed, get the hell out of here. You are not oppressed. And I think in her core, in her soul, she knows she's not oppressed. So then you'll say, why she make that stupid speech? I don't rightly know. But I can guess. And I can guess that she was probably told to. And you say, wait, what? Yeah, remember, she was at the DNC convention. And I guess they probably told her, hey, we're trying to keep the damn crazies, the identity politics crowd in our circus tent, and therefore we had to placate them. Therefore, no matter what you say on stage, make sure you placate those people, saying that, oh yeah, I'm a super wealthy black woman in America, but I'm oppressed. And you know what? Hey, she did her job. She went up there and said that. Of course, you and I know it's all rubbish. It's all BS. And then at this point, you say, so you're saying that Oprah basically told a fib to placate a bunch of radical zanies that the DNC needs in order to win an election. There you go. Only question is, I don't think they're going to be successful. Because the funny thing about these Looney Tunes, these weirdos, is that they tend not to vote. They tend to throw rocks and Molotov cocktails and stand around their protest signs and scream and holler and shout all the time. That's what they tend to do. And indeed, if you've been paying attention to that damn stupid ridiculousness that they had going on in Chicago, the damn circus did come to town. And not just the people inside the damn convention hall either. They had a bunch of fools out there in the street with the protest signs, you know, fighting with the cops and everything else. And of course, if you were paying attention to those fools in the street, you have to ask yourself, do you really think these clowns are going to sit there and vote for the Democratic Party just because they sit there and try to, try to placate them? I ain't betting no money on that. In fact, if anything, these people will likely go to the local voting booth on election day and try to burn the place down. Just saying. Because more and more people know that this identity politics stuff, this oppression Olympics garbage, is a loser. I mean, these people are basically just chasing their damn tail. And I don't think the leadership in the DNC realizes it's a loser yet. I guess somehow they convinced themselves that they could still win elections following this damn cultural Marxist nonsense. This damn stupid identity politics foolishness. And I think back during the days of Obama, that was probably true. But that was like 16 years ago, and things have changed. Because, for example, back in '68, yeah, you had the counterculture movement, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video. And if you jump forward 16 years to 1984, the counterculture movement was over. And sure enough, most people nowadays are not adhering to this damn identity politics stuff. Indeed, wait for it, you ready? There are videos right now of Don Lemon, formerly of CNN, talking to people on the streets of Chicago, ordinary people who are not even delegates of the DNC stupid convention, asking them who you're going to vote for. And wait for it, you ready? In deep blue Chicago, most of the people he talked to, who were, the majority of them said they're voting for Trump. And then he asked them why, and they told him. They said that they want to change. And then when he asked them, but what about Kamala Harris? And they asked, and one black woman replied, what about Kamala Harris? And they say, you don't want to vote for her? And then she said, why? Because she claims to be black? And she said, the woman said flat out, hey, I got bills to pay, and I actually was doing quite well back when Trump was in office. And she basically read the riot act to Don Lemon and said, you know what, I'm going to give Trump another shot. And she's not the only one. Lots of brown people are not playing that identity politics game anymore. They're worried about their pocketbooks. They're worried about how they're going to pay their rent. They're worried about how they're going to eat. And in some cases, it's like a flip of the coin. there's a lot of people, and not just brown people, in this country who are basically looking at their bills at the end of the month, and they're sitting there with a coin and saying, okay, do I pay my rent for this month or do I eat this month? Yeah, it's gotten that bad for a lot of people. And unfortunately for the DNC, they don't get it. So they can trot out old Oprah out there and sit there saying, "Oh, I'm a multi-billionaire, but I'm oppressed in America." Yeah, and I think they might be somehow keeping their radical lefty base in line by having her do that. But guess what? Majority of the people in this country are not radical leftists, and they're definitely not into identity politics. So yeah, if they keep doing that, oh, they might get the lion's share of the radical left vote. But guess what? They'll get nobody else to vote for them. Because I remember Tip O'Neill used to be Speaker of the House back during the days of Reagan. He famously said that that when it comes to elections, people always vote their pocketbook. Because he said that in the end, all elections are basically kitchen table issues for ordinary people. And you know what? Tip O'Neill was right then, and so far, he's still right today. So let Oprah sit there and claim that, oh, she's so damn oppressed. Guess what? Nobody believes it. She doesn't believe it. The DNC doesn't believe it. And believe me, ordinary Joe Q public out there in the street, they definitely don't believe it. Well, that's all I gotta say about old Oprah trying to play the damn oppression Olympics. And no, she doesn't get a gold medal for that. And that's my opinion.